Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers where you can win 100 times. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Last minute tickets, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. We're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. And don't forget, we're giving away $3,000 in our NFL Second Chance for Survivor contest presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. Free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. What a day to be alive, because we got waivers and whiskey. We'll get to all that, but if you're wondering who you're listening to, this is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football. You can find us on the X at Old Fashioned FB. And who do I mean by us? Well, before I keep going to the waivers and whiskey, why don't I introduce my co-host on the pod and in life? That's right. You can find her on X at the Mark. You can call her Miranda if you want to be all formal, but I like to call her Mur because I'm not very formal, I suppose. Mur, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Justin. How could I do poorly after all the energy you just brought me?
That's right. A lot of energy. Tired as shit, not going to lie, but that's okay. We had a great weekend.
We did. We just we're always so busy. Life just gets busy. It gets that way. But we don't help ourselves. We just pile it on and keep piling it on.
Yes.
We had an amazing weekend with friends in Nashville. First time being in Nashville.
Yeah.
And yeah, went to the Georgia Vanderbilt game.
Go Georgia. Go Dogs.
Yes, go Dogs.
We repped the Dogs. The red kind of filled the stadium. Not a good turnout for Vanderbilt at their home, but they don't have a great football team anyways. Didn't have great tailgaters either. Like, we were not the first people there, but close to. And yeah, those people got to step up their game.
We represent in Iowa for tailgating.
That's right.
Everybody shows up to tailgate. So it was odd. It was an odd scene there.
We will use any excuse to start drinking as Iowans, I feel
probably.
like.
Have you seen this reminds me of like the United States map of candy bars, and each like state has like the popular candy there, and when it's Iowa, it's Busch Light.
Busch Light.
There's no candy, just not candy, just Busch Light.
Yes, that I have seen that, and that is funny. We saw a little bit of Nashville after the game. Went to some different restaurants and bars. My one takeaway was the Old Fashions were not that great. The last one we had, I'll talk about that in a second.
House.
Yeah,
we did go there, which was
a bacon Old Fashioned, and
it was
single barrel Four Roses was bacon fat washed, and it was like drinking whiskey that has been flavored with the best bacon fat flavor. Oh my God, it spoke to my heart. By that I mean it probably clogged my arteries, but it was good.
No, what did you want to speak to that in a moment about?
That's why I was going to say it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to talk about the shitty ones first, but you wanted to jump right to the positive, and that's okay.
People want to hear about what's good. We don't need to talk about the shitty.
Fair enough.
No, but no, it was good. I was a little more adventurous, got a gin drink. Calm down. I love my whiskey, but my second is gin.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
wanted something more light. I mean, tailgating starting at
7:30 is
by
when we started.
7:15.
Yeah.
We were there. And then finishing our night at it was a little it wasn't a speakeasy.
But
There's no code word to
speakeasy-ish.
get in, but
Yeah.
it had that vibe.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a cool place.
ended my night. I needed something lighter than whiskey. when you
That's fair.
when you partake in festivities all day long.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes for a long day.
But no,
too.
that was a good old fashioned. And I have said it before, you can't go wrong with 4 roses in an old fashioned. That used to be my go-to.
Yeah, the single barrel. And that's what
yes.
that was. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
having it out somewhere and having that in your old fashioned, and it was a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Just a quick preview. We're going to be talking about injuries, studs and duds, and waiver wires, of
Mhm.
course. Got to get to the waivers and whiskey. Waivers and whiskey. But real quick, let's do a little shout out to the chat. If you're not watching us live and you're listening on the pod, get on over to youtube.com/old-fashioned-football. Gary says, hot damn. Make sure you check out Gary's show, IDP Pro Players Pod. That one always gets me a little tongue-tied, but I'll tell you what's not tongue-tied. That's Gary and all the defensive brilliant minds that he brings to the table. If you play IDP, you absolutely have to go over there. But even if you don't, go check it out because it is entertaining. It's a lot of fun. Shout out to Nick Fortune. It was such a nice birthday present that Murr lost me in fantasy football this weekend.
And on your birthday, Nick, you said that my gift to you could be losing, and I never intended to lose. That just tells you how my weekend went for fantasy football.
Yeah.
It started with the Bears game.
Yeah. The Bears game was rough. Greg checking in saying Nashville isn't known for their old fashions. I'm finding that out apparently.
I was speaking of the old fashions we had in Nashville. There was one more that was really good. Do you remember which one it was?
No. What?
No. Friday night, I can't remember the name of the restaurant.
Oh, yes.
But it was we went out to a Mexican restaurant there.
Yeah.
And their old fashions with mezcal.
Yeah. It was let me see if I learned from Josh correctly, a Oaxacan? Oaxacan, Oaxacan, I believe he said it. I didn't even try to pronounce it, and then he said it beautifully when he ordered it, and I'm like, I wasn't even going to try
that
it.
Old fashioned was very good.
Yes.
It was very different, and it was good.
Smoky. It was nice.
Very smoky.
Barely any mezcal.
We had the whole table getting old fashions after we.
That's how good they were. Everybody's pushing their sangrias and everything else aside and being like, we need that old fashioned.
Yes.
Kathy checking in. Bacon and bourbon can't go wrong. I agree. Gary says gin and juice, old school. And Bronson says, would you trade Trevor Lawrence and Addison for Lamar or Herbert or Tua?
Getting right to the football. Just cutting this bourbon talk.
That's
enough.
right.
Let's get to the trade.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're just going down the line here.
No, this
down
is good.
over there,
I'm
swinging your arms all around.
I talk with my hands. It's really hard for me to be on this podcast and not have my hands up in the air.
We need to get you a gavel that you can just hit every now and then. Trade Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Addison. Now, Trevor Lawrence is he's undergoing some looks into his knee, I guess, MRI and all that. It's just expected to be day to day. Addison, I don't mind trading him away because he just hasn't been as involved as I expected. Yeah, he got the touchdown with Justin Jefferson out, and yes, I expect his production to go up a little bit with Jefferson out, but I think that Vikings team, even though they just beat us, I think they're going to struggle without Justin Jefferson. So trade him for Lamar or Herbert or Tua. It's hard to go wrong with Tua. That offense is electric.
It is. It's amazing.
If you have the wide receiver, depth to get rid of Addison, I don't think you can go wrong with all three of those guys. But for me, it goes Tua, Lamar, and then Herbert.
Lamar,
just because of Lamar's rushing. Yeah.
If that was a toss up for me between Lamar or Herbert, Tua would be my first pick as well.
Yeah.
In that situation.
That team is just built on speed. So yeah, that's what I would do. Bronson, thanks for checking in. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, all that stuff. We appreciate it. And last but not least, Greg says, sorry about your Bears. The guy living up in Minnesota there, I'm sure very happy to see the Vikes get the win. We should have had that. I still think if Fields doesn't go out, that we have that it's a hard spot for special agent Bajent to be thrown into. But I thought he did all right once he got a little settled down, obviously through that game or that interception that sealed the game for the Vikings. But I thought he did decent. And our defense has really stepped up their play. I have been impressed with that. But before we keep going, what are we drinking today?
Oh, yeah. What are we drinking?
Yeah.
We are drinking one that we hadn't, well, I at least hadn't heard of before we saw it.
Yeah.
But we're drinking Joseph Magnus triple cast finish bourbon.
Yes. More on that.
More on that to come. I like the background and history on this one, so we'll get back to that later on in the show. But the old fashioned with it is pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is very good. Before we keep going, I want to remind you, and I just realized I don't have a little thing to show you here. So we're just going to do that. The SGPN Second Chance Survivor. Are you already knocked out of your NFL Survivor? Don't worry, we got you covered with the SGPN Second Chance Survivor presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. If you've been a DGen with SGP for a while, you'll remember Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties helped out when the world shut down and had to do some betting on like Madden and stuff like that. $3,000 is up for grabs. Winner take all starts this weekend. So sign up now. You don't want to miss out. It's free to win $3,000. I can't believe they made this free. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor.
We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. And they've just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 in Pick'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending their first deposit bonus of up to $500. Who doesn't love that? $100,000 Sundays continue over on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky winners will win $10,000 each this week.
Yeah, and I got a spicy 5-time bet here or 5-pick bet here for you for tonight. So if you're listening tomorrow, you're missed out. That's why you got to get over to YouTube and watch us. But I'm going to go Dak Prescott higher than 2 sacks taken. Gerald Everett lower than 26.5 receiving yards. Justin Herbert higher than 10.5 rushing yards. Austin Eckler is back. I'm going to go higher than 49.5 rushing yards. The Cowboys have the 10th bottom 10 as far as rush defense goes. And then CeeDee Lamb, we know that Prescott loves throwing it to this guy. We're going higher than 8 targets.
I like it, Justin. So what are you guys waiting for? When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit of up to $500. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN.
And we are back. Should we talk about a little bit of some injuries? Because
oh my gosh, there's a long list.
It's like the old
Let
school
me,
things where you
roll
roll it out, it goes down. Yeah.
Yeah,
start us
I'm
off?
going to start with a pain point for me. This is affecting me in my dynasty league. Anthony Richardson,
Yeah.
possible surgery on his shoulder. He could end up being out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, they're still weighing the decisions there. That sucks.
Gardner Minshew, who we mentioned this last week, and he did not look good this week.
No, little Minshew mania did not take off. Also injured Josh Allen. He's got a shoulder injury expected day to day. He didn't miss the game or anything, but this is concerning. Last year he had an elbow injury and for several weeks did not look like the same guy. So his backup is Kyle Allen, who he took like 2 snaps last night before Josh Allen came back in the game. But I can tell you one of those Allens is way better.
Yes, and I feel a little bit attacked with these quarterbacks because Justin Fields, who is my quarterback in multiple leagues, he injured his thumb during the game.
Yeah.
I was nervous that maybe it was broken. I don't know. We found out it's just dislocated.
Yeah, dislocated.
Just dislocated his right thumb. He's doubtful. So
Special Agent Bajent, who I really like. He's got a great story out of Shepherd University in West Virginia there. Small school, but he set a hell of a lot of records. Yeah, they said that his thumb dislocated. They were able to pop it back in cleanly. No surgery needed, but it's all a matter of the swelling needs to go down so he can grip the football.
Grip the football.
Yeah.
That's his throwing arm. So.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson, even though he was questionable the day or the week of his injury, still missing games. He's day-to-day with shoulder injury, and PJ Walker just came in and beat the San Francisco 49ers. So maybe they don't
Yes.
need Watson.
Yeah, Nick, how'd you like that if you're still listening?
Yeah, I want to talk about the next one too. Trevor Lawrence that we just talked
Mhm.
about. MRI on his knee. He's considered day-to-day. I never want anybody to be injured, obviously, but I would like to see him miss a game. Let's let him get healthy, let him rest that knee. And I know all the Iowa fans and people want to see CJ Beathard, but my CFL fandom wants to see Nathan Rourke. Was amazing for the BC Lions before he got hurt last year. Had a really amazing preseason snaps and some plays, just looked electric. I want to see him get a shot at starting in the NFL. So I want
You're
Trevor to
pushing for
rest his
him.
knee, and I want Nathan Rourke in there. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy G, he has a back injury. It's better than they initially thought, but he's likely going to be out next week. Brian Hoyer, backup.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the NFL Gambling Podcast, me and Moneyline Mac, and it was like Brian Hoyer revenge game because he was on the Bears for a while. However, he's been on almost every team. It seems like
So
he's
I
been
mean,
around
is
for
he is
years,
every
so.
game a revenge
Right.
game that he starts?
And then finally, it feels like this should wrap up the injury report. This is just wrapping up the quarterbacks.
Just the quarterbacks.
Ryan Tannehill, ankle injury. It's the same ankle as last year. He missed time. He missed a game or two with that. So this could be Malik Willis or, for the first time, Will Levis. Malik Willis came in for him in the game, but they were non-committal on who will get the start if Tannehill misses.
And I was preseason. I was talking about Will Levis. And
yeah,
I
it
don't
should
know.
be Will Levis. Malik Willis, sorry, but you are not good.
No. So I'm hoping it's Will Levis, and I'm anxious to see how he's going to do.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move on to the running back injuries.
Yeah.
I'm going to just start at the top here with the Lions. Both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have injuries. Gibbs missed the last 2 games. He's trending in the right direction, though. Montgomery, it seems like he's going to be sidelined for a couple games with his rib cartilage issue.
Yeah, it's a cartilage issue. I'm assuming there's a little tear there. That's a painful
It is
thing.
a painful thing. I injured my I guess not my floating ribs, the floating ribs at the bottom of your rib cage. Back in high school, flip-flops, those plastic, they were, I don't know, they look like a spongy flip-flop with the clear plastic underneath. If any female listeners are listening, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they have no traction, and my parents' deck is the, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Composite decking. I ran down the back steps and just slipped, and then my ribs hit each step on the way down.
Oh, that's fun.
It hurt for months, but there was nothing. It's not broken. It's those little ribs down there. Anyway, sorry.
Little ribs down there.
It's painful though. It's painful. It hurts to breathe, hurts to move, hurts to bend.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
All right. Well, you just talked about 2. By the way, I hope they don't run any plays to the left since he's trending in the right direction.
Wait, what?
Jahmyr Gibbs, you said he's trending in the right direction, so I hope they don't run any plays to the left since he's probably down trending in the left.
We're done.
Rams running backs, also a pair banged up. Kyron Williams, who I was such a non-believer in, and then he ran for 158 yards and a touchdown, sprained an ankle. He could miss a week or 2. And Ronnie Rivers, the backup, also injured. He suffered a grade 3 PCL. It's likely to sign him 4 to 5 weeks, sideline him 4 to 5 weeks. They're going to put him on an IR, my guess is. So pay attention to what the Rams are going to do at running back. I know Evans is there. I believe that's Zach Evans, who does not have a lot of experience. So they might bring somebody in. Maybe this is Leonard Fournette's time. Maybe Fournette enters the mix, finally gets a job. He's been a free agent, but saying he's ready. Maybe Fournette's back in and picks it up with the Rams.
And to end our running back list, Christian McCaffrey, he's undergoing an MRI on an oblique injury.
Yeah. Nothing says surprise like CMC's injured.
He hasn't. No, timeout.
Last year he stayed healthy.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So
they said they were going to manage his workload this year, and they have done the exact opposite. They
he's
haven't managed his workload.
He's been.
You got to manage it with Christian McCaffrey, though.
Do.
Yeah, 2 wide receivers injured. Speaking of the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, shoulder injury day to day, and Chris Olave has a toe injury and is questionable. Now
wrap that thing up and just go.
No, that is not like we were listening on our drive, And it was Collinsworth said somebody had a foot/toe injury. Not he just
Yeah, I was like, okay, nothing says reading from a teleprompter like reading out the slash.
yeah, right. Yeah,
I don't
foot/toe. And then I believe you were sleeping on the drive at the time that they announced that he was out with a toe. That's exactly how they
Out with
announced
a
it. He's
toe.
out with a toe. It's just like, well, they all have toes, but
Out
anyways,
with a toe. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
catching up with the chat. Greg wants to know best tailgate spot in Iowa, Ames or Iowa City. He says it's Ames. The Niners, Brock Purdy. Disagree. Iowa City. I guess I've never tailgated either, sadly. But I tell you what is not the best tailgate spot for Iowa fans, and that's
Nebraska
the
and
Lincoln
Lincoln.
Stadium.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
We need to go into those stories or maybe we do.
maybe,
I don't know.
Fortune says if 49ers are going to lose, we lost the best way we could by a missed field goal. I disagree.
Is that the best way to lose by your kicker?
Right. Welcome back. Philly Mike OG said, did you guys see the Cowboys and Chargers pregame fight? Punches are thrown. I did not, but that's interesting, and it's going to make for a chippy game then, most likely.
Yeah, we didn't see it, but that
happened during the
heard
Browns
about
and
it.
Niners game too. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's who I'm thinking of, the Browns and Niners.
Yeah. Chargers Cowboys
okay.
is tonight. So we couldn't have seen that.
Yes. It's been a long day.
Language.
Sorry. It's been a long day. Well, first of all, we're exhausted. I'm tired from sleeping in the car yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Right.
No, travel still makes you tired, whether you're driving or what.
Drinking all day on Saturday makes you tired as well.
I had a hangover. I'm just going to say it. I was hungover yesterday for the first time in a long time. Yes. What?
I said I was not.
Oh, I thought you said she was not. I was like, what are you talking about?
I was not.
Anyway.
You know what we should talk about next?
Sir throws a lot.
Yeah. Sir throws a lot. Let me get my little whiskey clicker, and why don't we let our buddy bring it in here?
This is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears quarterback, and now it's time for Sir Throws a Lot.
Thank you, Jim. Take it away, Mer.
Okay. I was just talking about how horrible this guy looked, but somehow he was still Sir Throws a Lot this week. Gardner Minshew threw for 55 passes. He went 33 for 55 for 329 yards and a touchdown, but also threw an interception in a 17-point loss to the Jags.
Yeah, I really expected him to do better than that. Before we move on to studs and duds, one more question from Greg here that I like this question. How much of the whiskey from Ace Spirits do you still have? Over or under 50%? I think under.
For
what we bought at Ace Spirits for the Fantasy Football Expo.
Is that what he's okay? Well, we have, I would say under, because we did giveaways.
We did some giveaways.
We sampled a lot. Like we had a lot of samples.
Drank a decent amount of the Keeper's Heart.
The Keeper's Heart is like, there's nothing left of Keeper's Heart.
Right. Yeah. And
what we have left, we have one. What do you want to call that?
Handle.
Why couldn't I think of the word handle? See, this is bad.
We have 2 of the 3 handles left, actually.
I thought but the second has been cracked into.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was opened.
Yeah.
And then we do have another bottle of the Ezra Brooks Rye.
Yes.
And that's
however, we did share some of it. The Rock and Rye that we bought, we took to the casino with your family, and we've shared that. We took some this weekend, so it's not all.
But that's
us, Greg.
gone now. Whatever is left in that bottle from this weekend is gone. That's the end of it.
Thanks, Flounder.
So.
Let's talk a little studs and duds.
Let's do it.
You've been actually, before we do that, we got to talk about something else real quick. We got to talk about how you don't have to run into too many things at once. You don't have to stress over buying tickets anymore. You know why? Because of Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. We just went to that Georgia Vandy game, and I saw tickets still available. You could get them last minute, and it's killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you're going to have. Who has time to plan ahead? Plus, my favorite part, you've heard me say it before if you listen to us, images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, all this fun stuff. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time, months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. And like I said, all those flash deals for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the game time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. That's right. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, they credit you 110% of the difference. They're not offering that because you're going to be out there finding it. They're not paying that. Give me a break. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your junk. Nobody likes digging through their junk. Shout out to Manscaped. Snag the tickets without the stress. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into the Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets today.
Now, back to old-fashioned football.
And we are back. Now we can talk about the studs and duds. I know you've been liking the studs, so why don't you stick with the studs? That's why you married me. Go on.
Oh boy. All right. Quarterback Jared Goff. The highest.
Excuse me, don't you mean Jared Goof? As you nicknamed him?
I might have been referring to him as Jared Goof.
Jared Goof.
Last week.
Jared Goof is a stud. Come on.
He's a stud this week, but I had a debate if I was starting him, which I did. So Jared Goff or Goof, however you want to call him, was projected 14.2 and he finished with 22.42. This is the highest. No, it's not the highest. The highest quarterback score so far this week was only 22.48. So only 0.06 points higher. And that was Tua, who was projected 20.6. So he was pretty close to his projection. So Goff is basically the only quarterback stud this week.
Yeah, and not to interrupt you, but your 0.06 just reminded me that I meant to tout this earlier. In Nick Fortune's league, I am advancing to 6-0 with a 0.2 win over Brandon.
I mean, I shouldn't wish this on you, but somebody needs to beat him because I will never hear. I need to remain the only Mark who has gone undefeated.
No, I'm coming for that this year. extra game from when you used to do it. Since the NFL season's longer, it is going to eclipse you. I'll be able to tout that I have.
I can't have him have these bragging rights. I will never hear the end of it. He will basically say that my undefeated season is irrelevant and doesn't count because I didn't have an extra week of games.
That's right.
We can't have this happen, people.
All right.
Somebody in that league beat him.
You're in that league, so
I guess I gotta beat you.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
Have we played each other in that league?
Yeah.
We have.
Yep.
So
Anyways,
obviously.
Continue.
Okay. I feel like I'm losing my voice a bit here.
It's all that yelling at the dogs game.
Yelling all weekend. All that. Well,
yelling at the dogs, yelling at people.
Well, not yelling at people, but it's loud there. It's just loud. Everywhere we went was so loud.
That's
so
true.
many people.
Yeah.
And I feel like you had to I talk loud anyway.
And it's not good. It's not good for somebody like me whose hearing is not great. And when there's so much noise, I have a really hard time hearing what people are saying.
I would really like you to just go to the ear doctor.
Talk about the studs.
You're like, we're not going there. He needs to get his ear.
No.
Yes.
It's the tinnitus. Has nothing
No,
to do
it's
with
not
that.
just that.
It is. It's the tinnitus. Talk about the studs.
He's hitting me under the table. Like, you knock it off right now. I'm about to be in the doghouse.
That's right.
Okay. At running back, we have a couple studs here. Raheem Mostert was projected 16.8, finished with 32.7. We have Travis Etienne, who is projected 15.6 and finished with 21.8.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wide receiver. Adam Thielen projected 12.5, finished with 23. Raheed Shaheed, my man, who I have not relied on. Like he did really, he was exciting at the beginning of the season. But he, not somebody I feel like you can always start, but he finished I don't even know if I said his projection. Projected 6.2, finished with 17.3. And at tight end, we have Dalton Schultz and Michael Mayer for our studs this week. Dalton Schultz was projected 7.2, finished with 14.1, and Michael Mayer 2.3 was his projection, and he finished with 10.
We were high on Dalton Schultz to go into the season. We had not seen his production really, but this is the kind of game that I thought he would have, a game where the rookie relies on him. And they even mentioned in the broadcast that you think Dallas misses this guy. I absolutely think they do. I'm going to go over the duds. Going to start with Russ Wilson. Big surprise. Projected 17 points, finished with 6.9. He was on our sit list for a reason. And then Brock Purdy, 16.2, finished with 7.7. Sorry, Nick. Running backs, Dameon Pierce. Ouch. We have this guy. He's our main running back.
He's our main running back in our listener league. So
but guess what? We
Dameon
still
Pierce.
won our second
we did.
win
We
in a
pulled
row.
off our second win.
Well, I shouldn't say that. He's got one player left, but as long as CeeDee Lamb doesn't get 30 points, we won.
No, it's not going to happen. Let's just knock on wood.
All right. Dameon Pierce, 11.8, finished with 3.4. Amari DeMarcado, who we were big on for the waivers. We'll talk a little bit about this Cardinals thing in a little bit, but he was projected 9, finished with 2.2. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, not used to seeing him as a dud.
No, but he was a big one this week.
Yeah, projected 16, finished with 3.9. T. Higgins, projected 11.6, finished with 3. Maybe that rib injury still bothering him. Tight ends, Cole Kmet. Ouch.
This bit me in the ass.
Yeah, projected 8.7, finished with 1.9. I saw him get picked up so much in leagues, and I was like, I didn't even realize he was available and on the waivers.
Well, he's been a top 10 tight end.
And yeah,
so you should be starting, in my opinion, you should be starting him.
Not when he looks like that.
Not when he looks like that, but how do we know that was going to happen?
George Kittle, fresh off a 3-touchdown game, projected only 8.1, couldn't get that done, finished with 0.6.
Again, another person you're probably starting at tight end if you have him.
Yeah. By the way, our Mark 57 put you in the boiler shed to load wood. That's how you're going to be in the doghouse. No?
No.
Should we talk a little? I mean, this is the waivers and whiskey show. Should we talk a little waivers?
Let's do it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here for you on Monday night.
I'm here for the whiskey.
Whiskey and waivers. But yes.
You want to kick it off or you want me to?
I will let you kick it off.
You're going to let me kick it off?
I'm going to let you kick it off.
Well, I'm going to go with, I hate saying this, but Falcons quarterback Desmond Ridder. He's only rostered. I almost said owned. That's a nay. Only rostered in 5.2%. Yeah, you can't own people. You can't say that. Rostered in 5.2% of leagues, so not a lot. And the Falcons have been passing the ball a lot better than we originally saw, which I think for the Falcons you shouldn't be, but they are. And he's had over 300 yards in the past 2 games. He also had 3 total touchdowns, 1 2 weeks ago, 2 this week. He did have 3 interceptions against Commanders, but if they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more, that's bound to happen. And Drake London showing up. Kyle Pitts showing up. I mean, Kyle Pitts had a touchdown. Nobody had that on their bingo card because he's been bad. I think Ridder could be a sneaky play, especially we got some bye weeks coming up here. I forgot who's on bye week. I'll look that up when you're giving yours out. But yeah, I would just spend 5% fab. Who you got?
I have the Saints' Derek Carr. He is only rostered in 15% of leagues. And Carr, he started to click last week, and it looks like his shoulder is finally healthy. He threw for 353 yards and a touchdown. They have some defenses coming up that I feel like they can take advantage of, such as the Jags, the Colts, the Bears, obviously, and the Vikings. They also have the sorry.
You need to calm down over there.
They also have the fantasy football playoffs starting against the Giants. I think it's good to, look further out there. And Carr has good weapons like Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas. So anyway, if you're needing a quarterback due to all these quarterback injuries we just threw at you,
yeah,
it depends on desperation here. You might want to go a little more, but maybe 5% of your fab.
Yeah. By the way, on buys this week, there's a lot of them. The Bengals, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Panthers, the Texans, and the Titans.
Wait, only 2 teams on a buy this past week.
Yes. So now we're hitting a lot of buys. If you have those players, you're going to have to look elsewhere. And I'm going to start right with the Texans. So maybe this is somebody that you can get cheap because he's not on the radar of people looking for this coming week. But Devin Singletary, rostered in 27.3% of leagues. We said how Dameon Pierce was a dud. Well, that's because he did not play the majority snap share at running back. It was Devin Singletary who played 54% of the snaps compared to Pierce's 46%. Pierce carried the ball 13 times for 34 yards. Singletary had 12 on 58 and a catch. So he did more with his carries as well. The Texans may start using Singletary more. It looks like he's fitting that scheme better. So that's a little scary for us that drafted Dameon Pierce and spent some hard-earned cash on him. But it is what it is. I'm just thinking 10 to 15%. I wouldn't go crazy. This is something that you're trying to get ahead of. You're thinking like, well, I'm starting to see a shift in this backfield here. So definitely something to monitor.
All right. And if you're nervous about that Christian McCaffrey injury, you might want to look at picking up 49ers Jordan Mason. He's only rostered in 1.4% of leagues. I really think you need to keep a close eye on McCaffrey's injury. Elijah Mitchell hasn't been healthy, but he did suit up this week, and Mason got the red zone carries. He's scored in each of the past 2 games, and if Christian McCaffrey is out, he's definitely worth picking up and potentially starting on a team that we know running backs generally have a lot of success on.
Yeah, for sure.
So if CMC is out for multiple games, I'd spend a decent chunk of your fab here. I would go probably 20%.
Yeah, this is a good running football team. So I agree with that. And just as a little bonus, I'm not going to dive deep into this, but Cardinals, Damian Williams, he's rostered in 0% of leagues. We saw that Keontae Ingram was listed as RB1 on the depth chart. I thought Amari DeMarcado was still going to do better because the guy looked electric, but they only gave him 2 carries. And it was Damian Williams, though, that had the majority carries in the backfield. Nobody saw that coming, I don't think. I mean, I certainly didn't. They didn't on the depth chart have it listed that way, but that's definitely something to monitor, the Cardinals backfield there, because we know James Conner is going to be out for a while. So keep an eye on that. And at 0% rostered, if you're desperate, he's likely available. I guess I said I wasn't going to dive deep in, but that was.
But you sure did. You dove deep on that one. So let's move on to wide receivers. Jeez, I don't know what's happening to me. We have, I have Kendrick Bourne on my list. Patriots wide receiver Kendrick Bourne is rostered in 20.4% of leagues.
I don't like this guy, by the way.
That's fine. You don't have to. He started the season lighting it up with 6 receptions on 11 targets for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 1. He was targeted 9 times in week 2. Then he dropped to 5, then to 3 targets, and then 5 targets. The next 3 games. So they finally got him back in the mix of the majority target share this weekend, as he was targeted 11 times again. He caught 10 of those for 89 yards. This Patriots team has been pretty bad offensively. But they do better when Bourne is targeted a lot. Therefore, I think they need to start making sure that he gets a lot of the targets.
Yeah, agreed.
So he's somebody who I'm really liking picking up because I feel like they're going to need to get him more involved.
Yeah, I don't. So, go ahead.
Sorry. Why don't you like him?
I don't like him because he has that huge first week. And I'm like, man, this guy's going to cook on this team. They're throwing the ball more. So then I start him because I had him. I started him the second week, and it's like, he got targeted 9 times.
He got bit once, and
he was targeted 9 times. I'm like, his score wasn't great, but they're still getting him involved. So I started him again the next week, even though his score wasn't great, and then it drops.
But those weeks that it dropped to, like, offensively, the Patriots were
right. No, I know that, but then I put him on my bench, and he has a game like this, so to him,
you can't deal with the inconsistency there.
Right.
I don't feel like. Inconsistent to me is like every other week they're having, you never know when to start him. We saw that dip, and maybe you shouldn't have started him. Well, you didn't. You pulled him after that.
After week 2.
But I don't know.
Yeah. How much fab?
10%.
10%. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, throwing a percentage on the fab, I feel like at this point in the season is tough because there are some people who have blown all their fab already, which is fine.
There's a league where I am suffering with Fab because I'd never bid enough.
Right.
I
yeah.
never bid enough for these players, but I have to stick to my, like, I don't want to be screwed later.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm spending my Fab.
Never mind.
But-
You missed mine.
Oh my gosh, get out of here. Who do you have at wide receiver?
I got Jonathan Mingo rostered in 12.3%. He's more of a long shot play. However, Panthers are going to turn their offensive play calling. It was just announced Frank Reich said he's not doing the offensive play calling anymore since they've had such a terrible start. And he's turning it over to the offensive coordinator, the guy that they hired to run the offense. Woo. Thomas Brown. Now, Brown is going to want to make a splash, right? They have a bye week this coming week, and then they're going to turn around, and I think they have a chance at winning that game because we always see this. If offensive play calling changes, the team seems to come out fired up. They're going to run a little bit of a different offense. It's still the same playbook, but they're going to run it in a little different way, maybe do some different cadences. And so the defensive team does not have a view on what that's going to look like, so they can't plan as well. Now, I know Adam Thielen is the dude on that team. However, Adam Thielen is kind of an old guy. So I feel like this is a good pickup, even if you need to stash him on the bench in case Thielen gets hurt. Yes.
Isn't he 27?
Thielen? No, I think he's in his 30s.
Why did I? Hold on.
Anyways.
I recently did a trade where I got Thielen, and I know I looked up his age.
Well, it seems like he's old as balls. But anyways, I think Brown's going to want to make a splash. That's going to involve the rookie Mingo. How old is he?
33.
30. Yeah, I thought so.
Hey, you think that's old as balls?
For a football player, yes. Not for a podcaster. Or not for a wife. I wouldn't spend a lot of Fab, but your 3 to 5% range, likely not on a lot of people's radar because they have that bye, and he hasn't done a ton yet, but I kind of like giving him a shot. Let's talk about your tight end.
Let's talk about it.
As you stomp my foot accidentally. Do you have shoes on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
They're my house shoes, my house tennis shoes.
All right, well.
My arch.
My
I wore
just got smushed.
I wore shoes yesterday that were completely flat, and I have a very high arch. They didn't support me, like my arches, and yeah. So I'm making sure I'm wearing my tennis shoes today.
All right, fair enough. Who's your tight end?
Sorry about your toe.
It's all good.
I bet it hurt less than when you rolled your chair over mine.
All right, get to your tight end.
Okay. Raiders Michael Mayer, rostered in 1.4% of leagues. He hasn't been involved in the game plan much until the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Against the Packers last week, he had 2 catches on 3 targets for 39 yards. They got him even more involved this week against the Patriots, where he had 5 catches on 6 targets for 75 yards. They play the Bears next week. Need I say more? They play the Bears next week.
Right.
And Mayer could take some advantage against.
Our defense has looked better, mind you. But
we struggle against tight ends.
Yeah.
The Bears struggle against tight ends. So that is why,
yeah, we let Hawkinson have 6
Mm-hmm.
receptions. So you can assume Mayer could get another 6.
So his upped target volume is a good sign.
Yeah.
I feel like it should continue. And then just the fact that they play the Bears this week, I would go 5-10% of your Fab. I don't know that Michael Mayer has. I mean, we'll see long term, but definitely this week, I think it's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good pickup this week.
No, I liked what I saw from the highlights there. I didn't get eyes on the game, but I thought he looked good. So
and we just got to he was one of the stud tight ends this week.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Finished really good. So yeah, I like it. I'm going to go with Cardinals tight end Trey McBride, rostered in 0.4% because there's this guy named Zach Ertz there. And I still think he's relevant in this Cardinals offense, but McBride played 58% of the snaps this week. If you're doing math, that's more than 50%. Therefore, he played more than Zach Ertz. He had 4 receptions on 62 yards, finished his tight end 10 this week. I would look for them to continue to get him involved. He is a talented guy. They drafted him last year. Ertz got hurt and he got minimal playing time. However, I think they're going to keep wanting to work him more and more into the mix because as talented as Ertz is, I think they need young blood on that team and they need to get those young guys going. I feel like they've lost a little bit of their steam from earlier this season where they were moving the ball really well, but they're still a feisty team Again, wouldn't go crazy on it. I would say like 3% of your fab, and I think you'll probably win that. I know he was tight end 10, but I still think a lot of people are probably going, it's the Cardinals, and
Right.
they're not
Well,
validating that a lot.
It's the Cardinals.
Yeah, I know, but tight end 10 for this Cardinals player. So
Mhm.
I think there are situations where, even though it is the Cardinals, it will help. Before we get to the whiskey,
Okay.
did you have any other waiver
No, I
info?
don't. I'm ready to get to some questions.
All right, we got just two things here. Greg says, show the stream to his daughter. She says, hi, misses you. And she has a new toothbrush with Rapunzel on it. She was most excited about the toothbrush. We met his daughter at a Spirit. She was not buying alcohol. Greg just brought her along to meet us, but she was a cutie. And then Chandler Costantino says, trade away Stroud, Trey Ford, Terry McLaurin, and Cole Kmet for Joe Burrow, Jake Ferguson, and Debo. Or do you think I should add Amari Cooper over Terry McLaurin to get a deal done? I don't have a quarterback next week and can only hold 2. Mine is Fields and Stroud. So Stroud, Trey Ford, Terry McLaurin, and Kmet for Joe Burrow, Jake Ferguson, and Debo. I'm worried about Debo's injury.
I think you have to watch that.
Yeah, but I think Burrow, his calf looks good. The problem is, aren't the Bengals on a bye week? Yeah, the Bengals are on a bye, so that's not going to help
if you
this
do
week.
that, you need to make sure
That's not,
it's not going to impact you too badly.
Well, he just said that he doesn't have a quarterback next week, can only hold 2 because he has Fields and Stroud. Fields
I can't
and Stroud.
read all of that.
Oh, that's what I'm telling
everything you
Fields,
left me or said left my mind.
Fields is hurt. Stroud is on a bye.
Yep.
So you're looking for a quarterback. Well, Joe Burrow is on a bye as well. So I don't think that's going to help you.
That doesn't help you
how
at
want.
quarterback. You're still going to have to look for somebody.
Yeah, I like the trade. Don't get me wrong, because I think Joe Burrow's calf looks healthy and they're going to start cooking a lot better. I mean, we already saw it 2 weeks ago. He had 3 touchdowns to Jamar Chase. Last week, I know they didn't put up as many points, but he looked good.
He looked good. He's back.
Yeah.
I think it's very safe to say.
Yeah,
that he's back.
He even scrambled around and extended a play for 10 seconds. So that calf is healthy now, I think. And I think the Bengals are going to start piling up some wins. But
it's not going to help you this week. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That's that. Let's talk about a little whiskey.
I like this. Are you gonna pour? Or?
Yeah, I'll pour. You talk. You want to do that? All right.
Sounds good. So, like I said earlier, we are drinking Joseph Magnus. Hold on. Can I have the bottle, please? It has been a Monday. I'm just not on my game. Joseph Magnus.
Were off Friday, so it's like a catch-up day. And
this has been a very long Monday. I've been very productive, but I am tired.
Yes.
So, Joseph Magnus straight bourbon whiskey that is finished in sherry and cognac cask triple finished.
Yes.
So I just need to show people the bottle here.
Fair enough.
That's what we're having.
Hey, back to our Costco.
This was
we haven't mentioned Costco for a while.
Because I've liked staying away from there, but we saw this. It was too good of a deal to pass up on a whiskey that just sounded like it would be really good. And it is really good in the old fashioned you made. Maybe it's because I peeled the orange peel.
You're right. That's all that made it good.
Well, you didn't make the whiskey. Okay. Anyway, the Joseph A. Magnus & Co. distillery has been around for more than 135 years. In the midst of the Civil War in 1864, Magnus received news that his father had been killed in battle.
Well, thanks for that, Downey.
And he was to take care of his 3 younger siblings and had to mature rather quickly. His late father was a merchant, and Magnus became a savvy businessman just like him. He also soon discovered a niche market for wholesale liquors. And by the time he was 26, which we said he had to mature quickly, I think for a man, that's pretty quickly. I know I didn't feel like a full adult till I was 27, and at the time you would have been 30.
Shots fired.
So I feel like you probably matured fully at 30.
Thanks.
Around the same time. Anyway, he had painstakingly built up a liquor empire based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. So Magnus not only focused on the quality and age of his spirits, but on his business methods. He thought excellent whiskey was more than just a pleasant experience for the drinker. It was a way to promote good conversation, close fellowship, and the interchange of good thoughts. So, in the in the early 1900s, Magnus came out with the Murray Hill Club. And he had advertisements like, give this whiskey a trial once and you'll have no other brand, or you'll take no other brand. So
Clever.
yeah, I'm pretty confident. So whiskey production and sales, they were paused in 1918, obviously due to the Prohibition. And for the remainder of his life, he enjoyed but did not get to produce spirits. So the story of Joseph A. Magnus began to fade into legend, as we saw during that time with other big whiskey makers. And nearly a century later, a discovery was made by his great grandsons. And wouldn't this have been cool? They discovered a 122-year-old Murray Hill Club whiskey.
That is cool.
So they,
How come I never discover anything like that?
yeah, I want to find a 122-year-old bottle of whiskey if we had whiskey makers in our families way back in the day. So they gathered industry veterans to extract a few milliliters from the bottle to taste and test, and if possible, reproduce. The experts were stunned to discover it was one of the best bourbons they had ever tasted.
Really?
Like, just think of getting to taste that too, because we've talked about when we had Dylan Carney on the show,
Savage and Cook.
from Savage and Cook. He had mentioned, like these
like
older whiskeys is like a time piece, like
time capsule.
a time capsule, and it's a timepiece of it's whiskey in that time and how they were making whiskey and what was going into whiskey making from that time. So it's
as long as it's sealed.
As long as it's sealed.
Because we have some Dusties and one of them was not.
Sealed.
It was sealed back with Scotch tape. And the taste was not good.
Some really, really old Scotch tape. How long ago do you think that was sealed back up?
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe 80s? I don't know.
So anyway, so it was one of the best bourbons they'd ever tasted. And so today, using the same blending and finishing techniques that Joseph Magnus used over 100 years ago, Magnus master blender Nancy Fraley finishes 12-year-old bourbon in a triple cask finishing process using Oloroso sherry, PX sherry, and cognac casks. And the results are as close as possible to the original Joseph Magnus bourbon in the 122-year-old bottle.
Which is interesting because I don't think finishing in other barrels was a thing back then. So it just must have been whatever he did with his mash bill gave those flavors, and now they have to finish it in order to get to that. Am I understanding that correctly? Or was he finishing in different barrels way back then?
You're asking me a question I don't have the answer to, Justin.
That's fine. Maybe that's that's two things now. We need to reach out to different distilleries.
Yeah, let's reach out and ask, because I would like to know, because I feel like you see these finishes more in your, like, craft distilling is such a huge thing now, and part of craft distilling is finishing these whiskeys in different barrels. And you okay over there?
Yeah, good.
Keep it together. Different barrels, and and it's part of why, like, I enjoy trying all these different whiskeys so much, because craft distilling has just opened up this, huge area where you're not just trying the same bourbons over and over,
right?
From these big name, distillers. Anyway, so even though, like, today, I believe the distillery is located in Holland, Michigan, but it started in Ohio, and then Magnus had moved to Michigan. So in 2015, Joseph A. Magnus & Co. was reestablished in Washington, D.C. And in 2020, they moved the distillery to Holland, Michigan, to kind of reconnect the legacy of Joseph Magnus, who spent many of his later years overlooking Lake Michigan and drinking his whiskey since he couldn't make it.
Nice.
So anyway, for products, they have the bourbon that we're drinking, a Murray Hill Club, which is a blend of 18-year and 11-year-old bourbons with a 9-year-old light whiskey.
Ooh.
They have a cigar blended bourbon and a gin, which this is just perfect because I just got done saying earlier, whiskey is my main go-to. Gin is second on my list for spirits.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yes.
that I think I read that Murray Hill Club is like it's a very spendy bottle of whiskey. I believe that's in the $1,000 range. So if anybody wants to get me
You
a
wanna
Christmas
donate it to
present, yeah. So we're drinking their signature bourbon,
Uh-huh.
which, like you said, finished in sherry and cognac. It's 100 proof, and ours is batch 359, bottle 74.
Mm-hmm.
And so they say a marriage of straight bourbon whiskey aged in white oak barrels and finished in Oloroso sherry, Pedro Ximénez sherry, and cognac casks. This has won a ton of awards, but the most recent were this year gold medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which is, I believe, one of the biggest ones in the States. Anyways, that's when you see advertised a lot.
Mhm.
But they also got the gold medal at the New York World Wine and Spirits Competition. So do you want me to say what I smell, or do you want to?
I want to say what I smell.
Because I already smell something, but go ahead. What do you get?
wine and caramel.
Really?
Yeah.
I get vanilla.
You get vanilla. Maybe.
You sure it's not vanilla you're smelling? I smell vanilla.
No, I smell caramel.
Do you? Okay. I smell vanilla.
But wine, you smell the sherry.
Yeah, I was looking at our whiskey wheel here,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of off topic, but I noticed that under peaty, which that's more of your Scotch and stuff.
Earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the things under peaty is old Band-Aid and iodine and fish. And if I have any whiskey that has any of those in it, I will not be giving it a good recommendation. Old Band-Aids.
Maybe this is why we don't do a lot of Scotch.
Old Band-Aids freak me out anyways. Like, that's one of the grossest things to me, old Band-Aids. So if I'm tasting an old Band-Aid with a little bit of iodine and fish, I'm not drinking it. I will say, though, this says none of those.
Well, okay.
I get like there's some sort of dried fruit in the taste, but I can't.
Wine?
No, well, wine. I can't tell if I'm getting like a dried apricot flavor or what exactly, but I definitely get a dried fruit flavor, and then I do taste a little bit of the vanilla. This has a tiny bit of heat, not much at all. It drinks very well for 100 proof.
I haven't tried it yet. I've been sniffing it, giving it a sniff.
Right, sniffer, become a drinker. And yeah, I really like this. This is a very good whiskey. Has a beautiful oak taste, not an overpowering oakiness. It's just like the perfect bourbon oak taste. You get some of those wine compliments to it, I believe, from what I'm like tasting anyways. Just a skosh of the vanilla, and then there's some sort of dried fruit I'm getting. To me, my brain is saying apricot. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what I'm getting.
I don't think it's apricot.
I am right. And you are right as well, because we all taste different things.
It's good, though.
It is very good.
This is good. It has heat.
Yeah. It does. It does.
But it's
little bit,
complicated.
though.
This
It's
is
not-
it's complicated because
See, I don't have a lot of heat. It hits initially and then it's gone.
it warmed me all the way down to my stomach.
Fair enough.
And I have I don't know, I have goosebumps. It has heat.
It's so good it gives you goosebumps. Joseph A. Magnus, so good it will give you goosebumps. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. That's exactly what I'm saying, Justin.
You got their new
No,
marketing slogan going. You guys can comp me with a bottle of the cigar and the blend, the Murray Hill Club.
No,
for
this is good
your
though.
new slogan.
I bet we've had it for a couple months now. We haven't tried it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy we tried it. And it does. It makes a good old fashioned. We made a basic, not to call your old fashioned basic, Justin, but
A standard. It's a standard old fashioned, not basic. It's
basic.
standard.
Yeah, that's a basic old fashioned.
I ain't no basic bitch. This is a
I
standard.
didn't call you a basic
old-fashioned.
bitch. I said it's a basic old fashioned. You just stuck to the muddled sugar cube, the Angostura. I always want to say Sutra. Angostura.
The Kama Sutra bitters.
I'm just gonna call it the Kama Sutra bitters. And
orange
your
bitters.
orange bitters. and I did the orange peel, which
Yeah.
I'm practicing my skills on
Yeah, I don't know why mine's in 3
because
little
I kept
tiny
breaking
pieces.
yours. Mine's
but
is perfect.
I actually picked this class because I saw that one had the perfect one. And normally, when choosing between there's 2 things, I normally look and find which is better, and I let you have that.
Well, thank you, Justin.
Yes.
Thank you. But no, it's a good old fashioned.
Yes, if you get a chance to try Joseph A. Magnus, I think it's
Mhm.
a little pricey because we got a decent deal, but it was still kind of high end, really.
Let me get you the average price.
Yeah,
here.
it's hard to find on internet because there's always those sellers that are off. But anyways, there was a limit 1 per customer, so I think we got it on a really good deal. But yeah,
I'm seeing $90 to $100.
yeah, and I think we got it for what 70.
70.
Yeah, so we got a good deal on it, but I do think it's a higher end whiskey.
Mhm.
But it's worth it, definitely. I think it's a very good whiskey.
It's a complex
Yeah.
whiskey too. I like that it's complex. I like all the flavors that you're tasting out of it.
Yeah.
It's good. I
Yeah.
give this one 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. It is very good. Let's go ahead and answer a couple questions here. Bronson says, trade Kamara and Michael Thomas for CeeDee Lamb and Pierce or Brian Robinson. I wouldn't do that. I like upgrading Michael Thomas, but you're getting a downgrade in running back. We just talked about how Pierce was outsnapped by Devin Singletary. That deserves a lot of monitoring. Brian Robinson has been a little hit and miss. I really like him, but Kamara, especially if this is a PPR league, you want to keep Kamara.
You do. And you do, unless you have, who else do you have at running back if you're still here and can answer that?
Johnny D looking for advice, currently 1-5, but yet the highest scoring team in a 10-team PPR league. What would you do? It's starting to become super frustrating when random players pop off for my opponents. I completely understand that. I've been there before. Toll in Nick's league, I just noticed he's only won 1 game and is the highest scorer. I know it's tough to do this, but I think you just have to be patient at this point because pretty soon here that being the high score is going to pay off and you're going to start racking up wins. But I completely get that that's frustrating when you have the best team and everybody else has their best games against you. Our dynasty league, where you are, I think 4-1 and I am 1-4. Maybe I've won 2 games now, but I'm the second highest scoring team to only you. And, but I have had the most points put up against me. So I completely get that.
I'm about to be 5-1. Sorry.
5-1. Nice. Greg says, when's the Keeper's Heart Old Fashioned Football bottled whiskey collaboration? If you want to head on over to Keeper's Heart and start pitching that to them, tell them that they should absolutely sign up. We will be there.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, we and then he said, or any distillery and where can I buy? We've talked a little bit about the foundry here in Iowa does that. They do customization whiskeys that you can get it, but yeah, we would be down for any of that. A collab would be awesome. That's one of our dream goal type things. It's just normally when you do that, it's a little high financially priced, and we need some backers for that. Jacob Anders says, looking for running back depth. Is it fair to trade Tua or Trevor Lawrence, Jerome Ford, and Jalen Warren? Current running back. Oh, sorry. Trade Tua for Trevor Lawrence, Jerome Ford, and Jalen Warren. Current running backs are Mixon, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Gainwell, Justice Hill, and Ingram. Yeah, I completely understand when you draft Javonte Williams and he's a huge letdown because that's happened to me. Tua for Trevor Lawrence, Jerome Ford, and Jalen Warren. You know, it's all a perspective of what the person that has those players is after, and if they think it's good. I don't think it's an unfair trade. It's not one of those trades that you see on the internet. It's on Reddit where everybody's like, this should have been vetoed and all that. That's not a trade that should have been vetoed. Tua is the best quarterback in that situation. Jerome Ford has been hit and miss kind of, and Jalen Warren being a backup running back, but I do like adding that depth to your team.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think it's unfair.
No, definitely not unfair. Thanks for checking in, Jacob. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for us. Don't forget to hit subscribe. The game has started. The Chargers are winning as Keenan Allen just caught a touchdown pass from Justin Herbert. You sat him because
oh fuck. Sorry. I sat him in one league.
Yeah. Okay.
My stacked league.
Oh, you have him. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Sorry. Sorry. We're trying to keep it more PG on the swearing, and I really messed that up this episode, guys.
Your mom checking in. I know I'm new to football, but is it okay for the defender to hold the arm of a receiver down in the end zone? Apparently, to the refs this weekend, that is perfectly acceptable. If you think about the Giants Bills game, Giants have it 1st and goal, and he literally pulled. You could see the jersey separate from the shoulder pad. They did not call it. The refs are terrorists, and that's an excellent point. Go to sgpn.com or sg.pn/merch. Go to Sports Gambling Podcast store. You can get yourself a shirt that says refs are terrorists. So if the ref has ruined or cost your
I'd
team,
like to see mom in a refs are terrorists shirt.
Yes, if they've cost your fantasy football team or the team you cheer for to lose a game, then go get a refs or terrorist shirt. Show those refs who's boss. And while you're there, pick up an old-fashioned football t-shirt, an old-fashioned football hat like the one I got on here. We got multiple options on t-shirts, multiple options on the hats. And it's just a great way to help support us. Another great way, doing things like signing up for Underdog. We're really pushing the Underdog. And $500. $500. They match up to $500. That's not going to last forever. That's a lot of free money. If you can, as much as you can afford to put in there, 1-800-GAMBLER if you have an issue, but as much as you can afford to put into Underdog, they're going to match it. That's free money that you can place on bets. And maybe you take that free money, say you get the $500 and you hit a scorcher, which is 5 times the money. Not 5 times, 100 times the money.
Let's get it right.
What's 500 times 100?
50 grand.
Boom. And you can pay off your car, your house, whatever, and be sitting nice there. So make sure you go do that. It helps us a lot. We got time for one more question. Alex says, would you trade Davante Adams for Cooper Kupp? I picked up Adams as my first pick in my draft position, but I've been super disappointed in his usage so far. Just worried about Kupp and his injury. I think Kupp is good to go. I think he's going to continue to be a beast.
I would want to get Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, especially if this is a PPR league. I mean, both those guys are really good. I think you're going to have some up and down teams, but I think Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford have a much better connection than Jimmy G and Davante Adams, which is right now Brian Hoyer and Davante Adams. So
yes, and
I do like that trade.
I wasn't sure how Cooper Kupp was going to look right away coming up, but he has looked great.
Oh, he stepped right back into it.
So I support this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am a big fan of it. I am all in on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. You got anything else to add?
No, this has been fun.
Yeah, thank you all. Don't forget.
I just stepped on you again.
I know. I felt it. Don't worry. If you can, go leave us a rating and review, whether that be on Spotify or Apple. We prefer the 5 stars, but Miranda is always stuck to the fact that she's not going to hold you to that. I might be bitter if it's not 5 stars, but that's okay. You can deal with some
We're not going to call
you
you out or anything.
I absolutely will call you out for a bad review, but the 5 stars we love to have. It really helps us a lot.
No, it does help us.
Lets the organization know, like, hey, we got listeners that are liking us, and just all that support. Anything you can do to help support us really helps. Subscribe on your podcast.
Hit
platform.
that like button. Hit
Smash
the like
it.
button. Smash it. Smash the subscribe.
Yeah. All
this is
that
where I need
stuff.
my gavel. Just
There you go. Bam. All that stuff helps us, so we really appreciate it. You don't have anything else?
Am I supposed to have something else?
No, I'm just checking.
My old fashioned's not gone. Sorry to disappoint. It's really good. I'll finish it. I just didn't finish it on the show.
All right. Good luck, everybody, on your waivers. We will be back on Thursday for Start Sit. Make sure you check out everything on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Old-fashioned football.